Well, hello, everybody. This is alternative music, the exact opposite of what you heard in there. No, I'm kidding. Actually, Paul and I were talking a little bit about that, and we both agree, which is kind of strange, but we both agree that alternative music is kind of a misnomer for what we do or what we use. It's more a matter of broadening the amount of music we use. Would you say that? Yeah. Instead of, yes. Oh, introduction. Let me get my paperwork here.
Do you need your glasses to see this far down the table?
I need more than my glasses. I need eyes.
Well, I know that part. Like you said, we can do dope on each other very well.
Now, please excuse me if I pronounce your name incorrectly, but it is Paul Cote, right?
That'll work.
Okay.
How do you pronounce it?
That'll work.
It's Paul, that'll work. In the center is my good friend Ben Goldberg. We've known each other since we were kids, many years. My name is Scot Byars. And what we're here talking about is alternative music. And alternative music is basically using different types of music other than what we normally see as square dance music. Now, for some of you, you'll recognize square dance music as a 2/4 time signature. It's kind of a boom chukka, right? Boom chukka, boom chukka, boom chukka, boom chukka. And for years, that's all the music that we used. As a matter of fact, when I started calling, I actually thought that to be a square dance caller, you had to call with a southern accent. So as a little kid, I was calling with a southern accent. I finally realized that I was born in Berkeley, so my accent should have been, wow, man, cool. Cool. So we're here talking about alternative music, and I've asked the guys to come up with some questions or to answer a few questions. Let me get into my computer here. Yeah, please. I mentioned that we're at Alternative Music is the name of this. We're at CALLERLAB. Am I supposed to mention that? Oh, we are at CALLERLAB. This CALLERLAB Convention 2012. Nashville, Tennessee. And I've lost my glasses already.
I'll make it bigger.
Can
you see that?
Anybody see a pair of glasses? Thank you, Ben.
Where's Scott? All over the place.
I'm blind. Why did they give me the wireless microphone?
Well, how do you work?
All over the place.
With a wireless microphone.
With a wireless microphone. So what we're going to do is I'm going to ask the questions of each of them because I wanted to ask some hard questions this year. And some of the hard questions are things that we haven't done before or actually really mentioned before. One of those is, why do we use alternative music? What's our main reason for using alternative music? How we use alternative music, and we have spoken a little bit about that before, but how we use it, why do we use it, and in some cases, in what way do we use alternative music? So I'm going to turn it over to Paul to start with. Paul, if you'd like to go ahead and answer the questions.
All right. Hello, everybody. I guess we're going to start right off with the questions. All right. Square dance alternative music, to me, first of all, the term is wrong. When they first started doing the program here, alternative music was, hey, this is something new and different. But I think it's gone past that now. It's not just how can I find the weirdest piece of music to shock the dancers with. It's just using a different kind of music in your program, using a variety. It's using music from different generations. It's using music from different genres. To use a country song is great, and that really is going to appeal to the country dancers. But there are a lot of people that square dance that really could care less about country music. There are some rock people, some jazz people, some people that like pop. Whatever those things are, you have the opportunity of using alternative music to give everybody a little bit of something during the course of the night. I try not, with my alternative music, I try not to just make it all one kind all night long. I'd like to do some 60s pieces, some 70s pieces, some pieces right here from 2012 in that area. And by doing that, I hope that I give everybody a little bit of something during the course of the night. Am I going to kind of go through the whole thing here, or are we going to kind of...
Sure, go ahead.
All right, okay. That's what I mean by alternative music. I mean that you're going to have a program that's going to be varied for everybody. Things that I look for in alternative music, there are certain things that you have to have no matter what the genre of music is that you use. You have to have a steady beat. You have to have a steady 2/4 or 4/4 rhythm. Okay, our calls are based on 2/4 and 4/4 rhythm. So if you start doing a 3/4 time song, our calls just aren't going to flow. You call a square through 4 and you're doing a waltz, it's just not going to feel right. Okay, you have to have 2/4 or 4/4 time. You have to have approximately in the area of 125 beats a minute. Some areas it's a couple beats less than that. Some areas it's a couple beats more than that. But you want to have that area of music. Yes, with all the digital opportunities we have here, you can adjust the songs and the music a little bit, but you really have to be reasonable with how much you change a song, because putting on a new pop song at 20 beats off of what it's normally played at on the pop channel, you defeat the purpose. People are expecting the song to feel this way, and it doesn't. Some songs just aren't appropriate for that. You want to find something that is going to be familiar to your dancers. You want to give them the opportunity to know the chorus of the song, to know the main lines of the song, so they have the opportunity to sing along with you. Okay? And you want to give them the opportunity to sing those lines and sing those lines with them by timing your right and left grands and your grand squares and things like that, so it hits right on that chorus. So you say sides face grand square, and Jimmy Cliff is singing I Can See Clearly Now. It's sides face grand square. Everybody's singing I can see clearly now, the rain is gone. And as you finish the grand square, then you're coming to the end of that chorus. Use it for that. You want to be really careful of alternative music. The square dance music is set up as 7 choruses of 64 beats, all the same tempo straight through. Regular music outside of what's produced by the square dance companies is not always that. Okay, tempos are going to change; they're going to vary, which is not good in the middle of your dance floor. Okay, you also want to be cautious of things like lyrics. Okay, I like using songs with lyrics, but you probably want to avoid using songs with profane lyrics. Okay, there's Elmer Sheffield just did a new version of Red Solo Cup, and if you folks are familiar with Red Solo Cup, his version is the polite version, because the version that's actually out there on the radio has references to asses and testicles and things like that, not particularly appropriate for a square dance floor. So you want to make sure you don't get that kind of piece. You want to recognize your audience at the same time. You don't want to try and push an audience too far. If you're going to a retirement community, you don't want to do a whole heck of a lot of Lady Gaga all night long. You don't want to do a lot of AC/DC. Yeah, those are good tunes and they're great for the right crowd, and you can push the crowd a little bit or give them a little tidbit of it. But at a retirement community, no, you don't really want to do that. Why do I use it? That's the question he asked. Basically, bottom line, different strokes for different folks. Square dancing has traditionally catered to basically the country fan, and that's it. And I'd like to broaden that area a little bit. I use it to stay relevant. This past Monday night and this past Tuesday night, 18 million people watched Dancing with the Stars. Okay? Those 18 million people were not square dancing on Monday or Tuesday night. Now, when I sat down and I watched Dancing with the Stars this week, I found 5 different songs on Dancing with the Stars that I thought would be fantastic at a square dance. And the thing is if I pick any of those 5 songs, which were Ain't No Mountain High Enough, I Run to You, What Doesn't Kill You Makes You Stronger, Proud Mary, the old version of Proud Mary, Someday and The Way You Look Tonight, those songs were all songs that would fit into a square dance. And wouldn't it be cool if one of those 18 million people that was sitting there watching Dancing with the Stars on Tuesday night then came to my square dance on Wednesday and heard me play the same song that they just saw on TV. It's relevant. It makes it current, makes it more available. Same thing with American Idol. I don't watch American Idol anymore because I got really upset last season when they voted off Haley. But I got this thing for Haley. But they voted her off, so I said no more American Idol for a while. But I'll get back to it. Lyrics or not, yes, use the lyrics if you can. You get to play with them. And make sure to use the music. Use it for all it's worth. Don't put it in the background and just have it there as a beat in the background. If all you want is a beat in the background, then just get a drum machine and put that beat on. Pick the pieces of music you want and you use it and use that music to your advantage. And I've kind of gone on for a while here, so I'm going to stop for a while and then see if you want to add anything more. By the way, I do have sheets that I'll pass out after for anybody who wants them.
One thing that I'd really like to know is why do you use alternative music? What's in your heart about alternative music? Why is it there for you?
When I started calling and dancing, it was 1988, 88, and I had just been through class with Jay Silver. He taught me how to square dance. And all it was country and just banjos and fiddles all night long. And while I do like country music, and I'm not saying no country, no country, no country. I am saying that I like other things. And I think that there's people that we're missing the opportunity to get into the activity because we're only targeting one tiny, small market of it. We're not giving people the opportunity who like other kinds of music to come in. And that's the main reason that I use it. I also use it because I like it. It's good. It feels good for me. And to go out there and boom chuck all night long is just not who I am. And you know something? There are people who are boom chuck all night long. That's who they are, and that's fine for them. But if you feel like you're looking for something else on the outside to give people a different side of things and maybe get other people involved, one of the things that I did when I was looking at this, I actually pulled up the Billboard Top 100 going back all the way to 1947. And I made a list of songs on the top 15 of the Billboard Top 100 for the year. And I did it in 5-year increments. I started in 1947. The thing that I was told, right or wrong, hearsay, was that most people's musical taste is defined in their high school years. Okay, the music that you love your senior year of high school is the music that you still love today. Okay, looking back here to 1947, the top hits on the Billboard chart were Tex Williams, Al Jolson, Perry Como, and the Andrews Sisters. Okay, if you graduated in 1947, there's a pretty good chance that's what you liked. I jumped forward and I did 5-year increments just because we all graduated sometime within 5 years of each other. Jumping up to say 57. Who were the influences? Elvis Presley, Pat Boone, the Everly Brothers, Guy Mitchell. If you graduated in that area, there's a really good chance that's the kind of music you like. Jumping into the 60s, 67, the Monkees, the Doors, Aretha Franklin, Stevie Wonder. These were the top Billboard charts then, okay? I graduated in 84 and a half. Yes, I did, okay? So my music, okay, and I looked right at it and I said, hey, this is all stuff that I like. Olivia Newton-John, the Jay Giles Band, John Cougar, when he was still John Cougar before he became John Mellencamp again, Chicago. A couple years after me, it was the Bangles, Whitney Houston, Bon Jovi, Bob Seger, Billy Idol. So for me, in 84, I like Bob Seger. Why aren't we doing more Bob Seger to square dance? Because that's what I like to listen to on the radio. And we just don't do it. All we do is boom chuck all night long. And I did it for every year up until, if you graduated in 2012, who do you listen to? Not too many here graduated in 2012, but aren't we trying to attract people that graduated in 2012? Okay? 2012, Lady Gaga, Katy Perry, Taylor Swift, Adele, Maroon 5. Okay, I love Moves Like Jagger as a piece of pattern music by Maroon 5. Okay, now the fact that they're writing it about 60-something-year-old Jagger, that's okay too. But it's a great pop song right now too. So next.
All right. That was Paul Cote. Ladies and gentlemen, Mr. Ben Goldberg.
Well, I get to be the old man of the panel, so 80 what? 4.5?
84.5.
1977.
1969. Yeah, it was a sucky year. Anyway, why I use alternative music is where I grew up was San Francisco Bay Area, much near, all things considered, near Scot. But it was a different era. I did not grow up with country music. Country music was just not there. And I came into the activity during college and, okay, fine, we'll deal with the music and get past it. But I'm not a fan of country music per se. There are certain individual pieces out there that are workable, that are nice, and in those wonderful square dance producers that have created the music have done wonderful jobs in bringing and bridging abilities, especially for those of me, and I'm not a campaigner about this, but I just am not a fan of country music. So I look for all other kinds of music. In my home life, and I'm taking it more personal, I grew up with parents that were much older than the average parent of my era. And basically my parents never left the Depression in my household. So I grew up in the big band era, even though I graduated in 1969. And that's my favorite sort of music. The full sound, the full brass section with rhythm behind it. And I try to tend towards music of that era, but being more broad-minded than that, I hope, is I try to find music that is A, danceable, as Paul brought out, consistent in rhythm throughout the piece. Yes, with digital technology, we can adjust certain things to bring it to a square dance tempo level or balance out the piece, which is extremely important. I have found with using, the additional music that we have available on the commercial market, dancers do relate to it. They do hear it on the radio, whatever station they may hear. Someone has heard it somewhere. I don't go with the kind of music that people can sing along to because where I live, you don't want to hear that. They're happy I can sing because they don't have to. I find that alternative music also helps me as a caller be enthusiastic about the music and about what I do. If I relied on the 2/4 or 4/4 music that we get out of square dance, I may have left the activity years ago because it was just getting boring. It was the same piece, maybe a different melody, but it was the same thing all the time. So I look for things that have maybe fun arrangements, again, keeping in mind the tempo is consistent. And that is the major key for me. Also, I try to tend to stay away from vocals, especially predominant vocals on the piece. Some of the pieces I use are actually from Europe or from Asia or Africa that are vocals that are unintelligible, that their vocals actually blend to be part of the instrumentation of the piece. So that, there's a piece out there, and what I rely on a lot for music resource are round dances. Some of the round dance music that is coming out today can be augmented for tempo or adjusted in our computers to fit a square dance tempo. And later in this session, Scott, Paul, and I are going to get to play a few things for you that we work with. And I have acquired them legally from round dance use, but upscaled the tempo to a square dance beat versus a round dance tempo. So, but also I listen to commercial music. If I hear something, I'll go to Amazon.com and buy the piece. A favorite of mine, believe it or not, I'm a Disney-phile, and I'm not ashamed to admit it. I go to Disneyland, I go in the music store, and I find any instrumental work, which is hard to find there. And the piece I will play for you later is Disney-done bluegrass, which has a fun rhythm to it, and it's a little different. Being from California, we all identify with Disneyland. It's just part of our culture. So, you don't fight with the mouse. They got more money than I'll ever have. So why do we need it? To give enthusiasm to the floor, to give enthusiasm to the caller. If the caller is bored, folks, the dancers are bored. If the caller gets jazzed up with something, the floor gets jazzed up. It's a vicious circle that we rely on for enthusiasm and getting people to arrive. I'm at a point now in my area where some of the dancers are just curious as what am I going to pull out of this computer next? Because they're curious as to what kind of music I'm going to dump on them. And they get excited about it. They get jazzed about it. And they can move to it. At some point, I try to move also and change the rhythm just a hair to a 6/8 rhythm, which is very forward moving. And it gets the dancers moving forward. That's another aspect of the music I look for. What's going to motivate the dancers to get up and actually move? Not just plod along at a 4/4 steady beat, yada, yada, yada. I want them to step forward all the time. And that's what the music does for me. As far as a message, I feel that the message we are sending is there's more out there than what our industry producers provide that we can use. And we pay for it. We can adjust it according to tempo, which we can do all of our producers' music anyway. And we make it work for our dancers. And we make it fun for them because our goal is to make the dancers enjoy the activity. As Paul said, something that's relevant, something they can identify with. And that's part of it. Our industry producers can only do just so much. We have to reach outside the box, so to speak, and bring more to the table. You know, at dances, I find people $5 if their phone goes off.
It didn't go off. It was just a text message.
I don't care. I heard it. Be glad you're not in my Rotary Club. It's $50.
Let me play something else for you.
Never mind. Too much. We need it for the simple reason it's there. We can use it. And it's another choice. World is full of choices, and it's a big word today. So we want choices. It's there. We can work with it if you have to be smart about it. Again, I avoid anything with vocals because it's competing with me. People, if you pick something that has a strong vocal to it, it's going to compete with what you're trying to tell the dancers. So what you need to do is be smart about it, get instrumentals, get something in a foreign language that nobody understands or you think they won't understand. Maybe some smarty will come up and say, well, I know what that said. Well, goody for you. I'm there for using the vocal as part of the instrumentation of the piece. So you don't want the competition. They're there to hear you call, not to hear the record sing. Otherwise, they'd go to a concert or something, and then there goes your fee. So I believe that the additional music that we have available to us outside our home industry is valuable, is usable. You just have to be smart about it. And if you have things like SquareView or one of the other softwares available that you can make adjustments to it to work to the venue, that's okay. That's what you need. As far as my target audiences, I live in farm country. I have 40% of my dancers work the fields, work the farms. They hear country, but they hear everything else. They're not interested in Lady Gaga or they're interested in anything. They want to have fun. They want to enjoy something and just a little. And from me, they expect something just a little bit different than they can hear from anybody else. That's the reputation I've developed. And unwittingly or wittingly, I don't know whether it's good or bad, but that's what I've developed. So I have anything else I haven't addressed?
No, sounds good.
Okay. Now, Mr. Byars.
Well, before I go any further, I want to give a little bit more credit to both of these gentlemen. First of all, Paul is a producer of music, and at least the recent things that I've heard Paul produce are fabulous music. I really like the stuff he does. Oh, I see. He's showing us his ego. I get it now. Yeah, it's a big E on wheels. Yeah, big E, go. Yeah, got it. Mr. Ben Goldberg has actually worked for Hilton and also has his own company where he sets sound all over the country and probably all over the world. No, not all over the. United States is enough. Well, let me talk a little bit about me, and I have a kind of a different approach than both of the gentlemen. I have no problem at all working with music that has words on it. I work with all kinds of different music. Sometimes I'll pull the vocals out. Usually I'll try to get the vocals out if there are words in there that I do not feel that are appropriate for the dancers. Then I'll look for an instrumental version of it, like a karaoke piece. Sometimes I'll look for a karaoke piece of music just because the words in there, I just can't cut them out. I can't get out of them. A lot of times, and I don't know if I'm speaking for both of you, but a lot of times we'll take the music that we have and modify it. We'll take it in and modify it to take some of the stuff out of it that's not danceable. You know, over in the past few years, I've had lists of those songs that I've done that I've actually taken and I've had to cut them apart. I've used Gold Wave at first, started with Gold Wave. Then I went from Gold Wave to all the different versions of Adobe. Audacity I've used, but just briefly. I use Adobe Auditions is what I use. And currently the CS5 version is where I'm at right now. It's a very expensive package. I don't expect you to have it. Because we have a magazine, we have an Adobe shop. Our whole, what we do is all Adobe. So I've got, it came with one of our packages that we bought. So, answering some of the questions here that I put to them, I'm going to answer for me. And the first question is, how do I define alternative music? Well, alternative music, like I said, I was born and raised in Berkeley, California. So the term alternative music to me means punk rock. That's what alternative, or new wave music. That's technically what alternative music is. It's very hard to call to punk rock. It's very difficult to call to punk. So we honestly don't use true alternative music. It's alternative to what we're using. So I think it's more broadening our music styles is what I'm looking for and what I do. Originally, I started using alternative music for two reasons. Number one, I used it as bait. I firmly believe that our target market age should be 21 years of age, because most people aspire to be 21 again, or if they're younger than 21, they want to be 21 years of age. So my target market is 21. So I go to that being said, I go to those kids and I say, what's your favorite song? And I'm pretty happy with the fact that some of my dancers, some of my square dancers that fit in that range are extremely knowledgeable when it comes to dance music. And they actually will give me a lot of suggestions that work extremely well. I've given you Maroon 5 is one of those, for example. The Looks Like Jagger song is a good one. So how do I use it? I use it depending upon the group that I'm with. I recently did something in Cote, Wyoming. I don't think they would like Lady Gaga very well in Cote, Wyoming. So I didn't use much of that. But I used a lot of other alternative music. I used a lot of jazz. I used a lot of pop music with them. It doesn't mean that you have to use techno or anything along that line. None of us are preaching that. What we're preaching is that you need to use the music that will appeal to the people that you're with in the age group or who you're trying to draw to. Recently, I did what was called an ag adventure, where they brought all the 3rd and 5th graders out to Stockton, and they had all of them came out and in groups, and there were between 50 to 200 kids at one shot. I started from 9:30 in the morning to 1 o'clock in the afternoon, nonstop. Kids were coming in. I had 5 to 7 minutes with each group of kid. I had my wife in the background playing music and watching the crowd. Now, I'm pretty blessed in the fact that my wife understands music very well. She's a round dance cuer and a very good one. And so she understands music, and she probably knows the words to probably every song known to man. She's pretty brilliant that way. But anyway, so she sat back and she ran the music because there was no time for me to run back and forth. I'm with a wireless mic out with all these kids, teaching these kids to dance. I didn't get past single file promenade or right hand star. We did stuff like that. Circle to the left, circle to the right. Just get the kids going. And by far, the winner was the Maroon 5 piece. The kids, every time we put it on and they left, they wanted to run back and join us again. Every time we put that on. So, I'm for appealing to an audience, whatever audience I'm at, and I'm going to do that. Like Ben, I believed at one point that I did not like. As a matter of fact, that's kind of mildly put. I really believed that I hated country western music. And I've come to the conclusion that is not true. I do not hate country western music because there is some country western music I do like. What I don't like is I don't like the simplicity of it, if that makes any sense. 4 chords, maybe. On a good day. 4 chords that it plays. I like intricate music. I grew up listening to jazz, to classical. So that's my background. My background was actually, I was trained to sing opera. So I sang opera for a long period of time. And in musicals and things like that. Well, as a square dance caller, it's kind of hard to do opera. You know, we can do musicals. We've got like Some Enchanted Evening and things like that. But you can't do that. You've got a comment? Go ahead.
You learned opera?
I did.
I was trained to be a cantor.
Yeah, I know. Goldberg, Kent. Yeah, okay. Yeah, I realize that. Cantorial, yeah. Oh, wrong cantor. Anyway. So, okay, so how do I use it? I use it depending upon the people I'm with. I'm very versatile that way. I don't walk into my weekly workshop with certain songs I'm going to use. I go into my weekly workshop and I see who's out there and who likes what music, and that's what I play. You know, I play based on what my crowd is out there. Now I try to get on the fringes of what they like to listen to. I try to reach to the younger people. I'm trying to reach very hard to the younger people because that's our solution, in my opinion. My opinion to getting people into square dancing is get them younger. Get them involved in the activity younger. Yeah, they'll go away maybe at college, but they'll come back with their kids. I don't know how many people we've taught, Ben, that we show up at a national convention and they run up to us and we have no idea who they are. And they'll run up to you and they'll go, oh, Scott! And they'll put your arm around and I'm going, who is this person? I don't remember them. And I realized that I taught them as a preteen. I taught them when they were like 8 years old. And they've come back with their kids. And they're dancing. Well, I hope you know who your wife is.
Yes, I do.
Okay. But, okay, so, where do you use it? I talked about that. Why do you use it? Guys, I like it. I have to be honest, I like it. And to completely be honest, there was a point that I was listening to the music. There was a point that I didn't buy any square dance music because I didn't like what was being produced. It's not really the producer's fault, because they were trying to do it as inexpensively as possible. And when you have to get real band people to come out playing real instruments, that's expensive. It costs a lot of money. And I just don't, I can tell the difference between someone playing a saxophone and someone sampling a saxophone on a keyboard. I know the difference. I hear the difference, and it doesn't feel right to me. I can't dance to it. I'm a dancer at heart. I like to dance to music. So for a while I wasn't buying it. Then the producers started producing some music with some real instruments again. When we go back to some of you have been calling for a long time. How many have been calling for 30 years or more? Okay. Windsor label. Okay. Pulse. Remember Bruce Johnson, McGregor, all of those old songs, those old record labels were real musicians, right? Real music coming out of that. That was some of the best music on the planet that they produced. I first thing every morning, last thing every night on Blue Star. You remember that? Oh, what a beautiful piece of music that was. Still is. Absolutely. Absolutely. Recently, up until recently, Chicago Country was just, some of the stuff that they did was just absolutely phenomenal. Some of the labels out there kept to what we were looking for, kept to the music that I like to listen to. I, again, like Paul, kind of tried to stay away from 2/4 time signature. I try to stay away from the boom chugga. Boom chugga. I got to tell you guys a story. This is a really funny story. I was calling in Southern California for a group in Southern California, and I got up and started calling, and I was calling up there, and I walk around the hall, and I'm talking to everybody, because I do that. I walk around and talk to everybody. And I spoke to this one lady, and said, "Hi, how are you doing?" She says, "I hate your music." I said, okay, I understand that. Not everybody likes my music. I really understand that. Is there something you like that you'd like me to play? She says, "I want you to play square dance music." I said, okay, I've got a few things that are 2/4 time signature that I can play. And she says, "No, I want you to play square dance music." And I said, okay. And so I walked away and I went up to the president of the club and I said, "Who is that lady over there? Do I know her? Give me some information about her so maybe I can find some music that she likes to get a smile on her face." And he said, "Oh, that's Mike Seastrom's mother." And I said, cool, because I love Mike Seastrom. And so I started talking of Mike Seastrom, and I pulled out a singing call that he comped me. Beautiful piece of music. I put the music on, and she walked off the floor. It was the only piece of music that she hated that he did. Well, that's not the end of the story. Later on, I was working with Mike, and I walked up to him and I said, "Mike," I said, "I just had this thing with your mother." He said, "Oh, yeah." I said, I told him all about what happened, and he said, "Oh, yeah, she does that to me, too."
What was the name of the piece of music, Scott?
I don't want to incriminate myself. I know, I've already done that. I'm trying to think of the name. It was, I call it my Windex commercial. You know the one I'm talking about?
Yeah, I think.
Well, anyway, I'll think about it later when we start playing music. I'll pull it out. Why do we really need it? That's a tough question for me because I like it. And my philosophy is always do something you like. Don't do something you do not like, because you can't sell something you don't like. If someone comes up to me and they ask me to do a song, for one thing, I try not to have it. You guys remember Grand Colonel Spin? Okay, Grand Colonel Spin, we grew up with that. We listened to Grand Colonel Spin sometimes 3 and 4 times a night. Someone would play Grand Colonel Spin. It got to the point that I would scream and holler and run out of the hall when someone put on Grand Colonel Spin. You too? Yeah. And it's not that it's not a good piece of music, but it just got to the point that it played so much. And when people would request, I say, "I don't have it." Got any other requests? Yeah, well, that's another story altogether. But anyway, going on. So I always do things that I like. I never play something I don't like. I may put something on and put it on for a few seconds and go, no, I'm not going to do that. Can't call to that. That's too difficult. It's too hard to call to. Or I'm looking at the dancers and I see the reaction on their face and look like they just, like walked through chicken manure or something. And when that happens, it's, well, I think this is not very good. So you put it to the side. Do we need it? I think I need it. I think I need it because it completes me. It adds to what I do. It adds to my personality. Do we have a message and what is it? Well, my message is let's get more people into the activity. Let's appeal to people. Let's market to people by using our music to market to them. So that's my message. My message is, let's appeal to those people. When we're out there doing a party dance, or when we're out there doing something with our groups that's in front of the public, let's use music that's going to draw the crowd in. And if you don't believe me, do an experiment. Play something that is totally bizarre that you think the kids might like. Look at your audience that's out there and play something that they would like. Now I have country music that I use and I consider it alternative music. I have bluegrass music that I consider that is alternative music. I have music that is of a techno kind of, river dance music. And I consider that alternative music. So I broaden my spectrum of music. I don't use just traditional music. I don't use a lot of it. And that's my message. That's what I'm trying to say. Paul, any wrap-up stuff before we start playing music for people?
All right, I know you guys are all excited about the music. It's coming.
It's coming. It really is.
Here the thing is, though, when it comes to the music, there are lists out there now. Clark Baker has a list of hundreds of alternative songs on his website. I know that Vic Cedar has hundreds of alternative songs listed on his site. The resources are out there for you now that weren't out there in the past. So what I'm going to play out of my computer record case is probably stuff that most of you already heard before. I guess I just want to go back to a couple key points that I was kind of holding on to here. And I wasn't going to say this because, well, it's my first Caller Lab. And thank you. This is something, I did a video presentation for one of Ken Ritucci's Caller School. I did an hour-long presentation on alternative music. If anybody wants to find it, it's on YouTube. You can just go and look it up, and you can watch for an hour me smiling. But one of the things that I made in the presentation, I made a very, very important point to tell everybody that Ken didn't know I was going to say it first, just because I didn't want Ken to get in trouble. But this is my main point on alternative music, and it's harsh and it's smash you in the face kind of point. But if you sit back and think that I'm not saying it just for the shock value, but because I think it really makes a difference. If you are tailoring your program and the music that you do in your program and the things that you call in your program, if you're tailoring your program to the dead and dying, you will only attract the dead and dying until they die, and then you'll have nobody left to call for. Okay? And it's really harsh to say it that way, but bottom line is if we're going to keep on putting our music catering to the dancers that we have, which our dancing population is very old at this point and getting older. And our numbers are declining and we're not replacing those numbers. We need to figure out a way to attract that young generation. And it has to be done not just with us changing our music, but there are square dance clubs out there that are perfectly happy with the way things are going. Okay? There are other clubs out there that are saying, we need to get more people in here. We need to get more people in here. But they don't want to change what they're doing. They want 20-year-olds to come out and dance to Old Gray Bonnet, and it's not going to happen. Okay? If a club is failing and they really want to get new blood into it, they have to stop thinking about the club from their point of view and what they like, and they have to turn it around to the point of view of what would younger, new people want to dance to. And by making these other options available, you give that opportunity to them to say, hey, we're not asking you to come out and dance to Jolson all night long. And I have done an entire night of Al Jolson music in complete garb. But that was for a specific situation. The first thing you have to do is define what your target audience is. Scott said his target audience is 21. The nice thing about a panel here is we can all disagree. Okay? I don't think that's the appropriate audience. I think that the audience that we need to have a focused goal on a target market that's going to be a viable market. Okay? And 21-year-olds, first of all, they got no money. Okay. Second of all, they got college coming up. They're in the middle of college. They're going to have getting married, raising kids, raising family, with all the kids' activities going 100 ways. My personal target market is late 40s, early 50s. Okay, because the empty nesters, they've just had the kids go. Now they're wondering what to do with themselves at night. And so if I'm going to target that audience of empty nesters, I'm going back to the top charts, the billboards. So 40 to 50-year-olds, I'm looking at what do the 40 to 50-year-olds like? And that's what I'm going to do for music, because that's the goal that I'm trying to get those people involved. If you're a club that's in a retirement community and you're just perfectly happy with however many squares you have and you don't care about growing and you're just okay with just letting the club go its own way, that's fine. But if you're a club, if you're a dancer, if you're a club caller, if you're an organization that's saying, we want to attract new dancers, stop saying we want to attract new dancers to come and do what I like. You want to attract them by giving them something that they like. That's my main point.
Ben, any final?
No. Very good. Both of these gentlemen have voiced my own opinion, so to repeat it would be fruitless. My only goal is to make the dancers that I currently have happy. If there's a way to bring more in, albeit I like Paul's idea, and I'm taking his flyer and looking at that music because I've never thought of it, and I'm first to admit it. But I try to provide a variety of music, not 2/4 boom chuck all night long. It's the same thing with a different melody. Like I said earlier, the dancers are always wondering, what the heck am I going to pull out of this computer next? For music, they're curious. Some they like, some they don't like, and they're vocal about it. I've never noted Square Dance Floor to not let you know they didn't like something, but they also are polite enough to let me know that they really like something. And, it's a majority rule situation. So with that, targeting your audience, looking at who you're calling to, and for those of you that are weekly callers for this club week in and week out, if you have a transient population or you're in an area where you don't see the exact same faces every week, you need to change up your program just a little bit to keep those people coming back all the time. And the additional music that we can get commercially can help you do this. Paul's ideas are fantastic. Scott's ideas are fantastic. It's what we need to do to keep this activity alive. And hopefully this also sends a message to those that are producing our in-house music to look at today's music and bring it to us so that we all can use it to bring it to today.
Cool. To recap kind of what Paul said, I'm going to use my wife's words, and if you guys repeat it to her, I will never admit it. But it was a brilliant statement, and that was that some people in square dancing would much rather have square dancing die than to change. And we have to take that into consideration. It's the same people say, well, we tried that, doesn't work. Chances are they haven't tried the whole thing. They just did a piece of it and that didn't work. So I think what we're going to do is we're going to go back and forth and try some music. Let's try about 5 pieces at a time, each of us. So do some music. We'll start with Paul again. Can you? It should be plugged in. It's hot. .com. Oh. I do. Is that what that is? Oh, really? Big one? It's for a 2-sided CD? Absolutely.
All right, show and tell. I'm guessing that many of these things you've heard before. I play them because I like them. It feels good, and it's just good dancing music. And I respectfully, completely disagree about not using the music. Not using the lyrics. Okay, I understand your choice is not to. Okay, but I respectfully disagree. My main thing, when it comes down to it, my main argument is this. Nobody does a better Stevie Wonder than Stevie Wonder. Okay? No variation, no matter what record producer, square dance record producer does it, he's not going to do a better version than Stevie Wonder. So, let's start with Stevie Wonder. And we have no music.
I'm on.
No, I'm not plugged in.
Can you?
Well, I'm plugged in, but nothing's happening.
Okay.
So we have a bad. Okay. As far as up as goes. Now I have no. There I am. And can we get some more music? That's it. Hey, bow to the partner. You turn and you bow to the corner. 2 with the corner. Element left. Like an element there, go forward. 2 with the right, with the left. With the men wheeling, get a backup star. I'm still giving them Stevie, but I'm doing my thing. Shoot that star to another there. And go forward. 2 with the right, with the left. Men wheeling, get a backup star. Shoot that star. And a right and left grand, old right and left, go around the ring. And I let him do his thing. Let him sing. It's Stevie Wonder. You can't do better than let Stevie sing. He's there for you. He's one of the most talented musicians in the world. Give it to him.
Okay with using vocals on music?
Absolutely.
Oh, okay.
That's what I'm saying. Ben said that he preferred to not use the vocals. Okay, I am 100% about using the vocals. It is exactly your choice. Another mellow one. One of my favorite ones. And this is just ridiculous with the sound. It's as far up as it goes. Circle left. I can see clearly now. The rain is gone. Ladies and gentlemen, Mr. Jimmy Cliff. With the corner, Alabama left. Come back, do, side, do. But you got Jimmy Cliff. You got all these fantastic singers who, by the way, are better singers than most of us callers. Okay? If you get the opportunity to bring him in there, bring him in. Let's see, a couple other ones here. You want 5, right?
Yeah.
Want to get a little bit harder?
Time, then we'll go to bed.
That's fine. We'll get a little bit harder. Again, this is my generation now. This is John Cougar Mellencamp. Hurts So Good, right? Okay, let him sing it. Side space. I'm ahead of the beat. There it is. I'll give him the beat. Okay, I'm going to start it when it's him. Side space, square and square. Go. Let him sing it. Okay, sit back and shut up. Let John Cougar sing it. Okay, when it finished that grand square, then throw in your calls. Go ahead and do it. All right. One more. This is the one that Scott mentioned it. I love it. Fantastic. How did I get it? I was watching Dance with the Stars. Dance with the Stars had Carson Kressley. He danced it. Looked like a complete idiot, but he could move like Jagger for sure. Okay? I watched Dance with the Stars. downloaded the song. Next way I went out. That's it. Maroon 5. Dance, Moves Like Jagger. Moves Like Jagger. With a corner and a man left, come back, a right and left, and go! Okay. I would normally crank this now, but we got no music. Okay. That'll be good enough for me for now. Yes, sir. That is Moves Like Jagger by Maroon 5. And by the way, Mick Jagger is how old now?
Older than all of us.
Here's the thing. Instead of my last song here, one of the things that I forgot to say was, square dancing, the square dance is like in a time warp. It's in a bubble. Doesn't realize that. I had a lady come up to me and say, "What is that noise that you're playing?" Okay? And I was playing a song by the Police that had just, the song had just celebrated its 30th anniversary of that song. That's that song by the Police. The song was 30 years old, ma'am. I'm not playing newfangled stuff. It's 30 years old. So, I mean, it's a time warp we live in. Go ahead.
Check. Hello. Thank you. You turned me off, you turkey. Anyway,
Gobble, gobble.
Idiot Pilgrim. One of the things I get to do, and this is a piece of music that came out on GMP, I believe. It was a remix. I had been traveling in Denmark, calling dances, working with Lona Bloom, and she played this piece of Danish folk dance music for me. And I bought a copy while I was in Europe and brought it home, and I had to do some tweaking to it for square dance. But you may recognize this. You may recognize this. I am a techno geek. No, turn it up. How many of you can you turn the bass down? How many of you recognize that? That is the Danish drums hoedown, except it's the original version from Denmark, not the square dance augmented version. That is the original music. And I use that, I lower it a little bit so it doesn't blow out the dancers, but it's something they can move forward to. They can lean into their dance. Bring something else up. One other thing I commented about in my little presentation, I'm a Disney file. Some use the word file and spelled F-R-E-A-K. But I am what I am, and I'm proud of it. And I bring up bluegrass. Turn it up a little. Sounds like we're coming up on something bluegrass, but all of a sudden, it sneaks up on you. Who cannot sing along to that song? Who cannot? Make Walt take you to Disneyland. He'll fix that problem. Exactly. You know the song. One of the other things I like to do is take music, and I'm going to play you something that has steel guitar and regular guitar. But it's not what you think. It's Hawaiian. Using a slack key guitar. I did a Hawaiian night, so I did a whole theme of music from an instrumental album and just brought it up to square dance moving tempos. 125, 128, wherever it felt comfortable for the piece of music. And it made a whole theme for a dance. You can square dance to it. If you want to shake your tush, go for it. It was wonderful. Let's see, where's another one? I'm going to have to adjust this one to my computer because I haven't. One other I did, and I commented also about taking round dance music and bringing it into ours. No.
No, that's not Pearly Shells.
That was Pearly Shells, but I took it off of a commercial album.
But it wasn't.
If they use that in round dance, that was unbeknownst to me because I'm not a round dancer and I have 4 cuers that'll vouch it.
But the original, you're talking about the Burl Ives version of Pearly Shells that was used for the round dance Pearly Shells.
Absolutely.
But that's a different instrumental.
It's not as extravagant as what
Right.
he has right now.
No. But here's another one. Yes.
Yes. Wait. Hold it. On the mic.
Leave my mic near my hand, dude.
Who's got the question? You've been going back and forth about a microphone. You are right. I am so wrong. I thank you for reminding me.
Buddy Weaver has now corrected our moderator.
Yes.
Buddy, by the way, handled this seminar last year when we were in Las Vegas. Did a very good job, and I think John Lizette's here also, who's part of that panel.
And tell us who you are.
Is this on?
Yeah.
Wow, I was going to say, make sure that they state their name, which is Jay Silva, and where they're from, Northwood, New Hampshire, when they ask their questions.
Okay. Remember, this is the first seminar out where we're breaking in the rules, okay?
Yes. Okay. Anybody else have any questions? Okay, we got one back there.
Hang on, you got to use the talkie stick.
Bobby Robinson. What else am I supposed to say?
Close
what
to
else
it.
am I supposed to say? Bobby Robinson.
Where are you from?
Okay, I'm from Kansas City, Missouri. I just want to know, okay, like, you're talking about, current music, like Adele's Rolling in the Deep. Where do you get just the music version? I mean, I don't particularly like karaoke music. What did you say?
We go 104. Excuse me, 103. Is Adele Rolling in the Deep? I have CDs here.
Okay,
Alrighty.
I was wondering, because this is something that we've discussed for a long time now.
She asked a question. I wasn't going to say a word.
Paul, put it in the mic.
Ben, you mentioned a 6/8 piece. You're going to play a 6/8 piece for us, please?
I don't know if I've got it in here. I've been looking.
And would you also give us a calling demonstration of how you do it? I am one of your participants. Buddy Weaver.
And where you from?
Long story as mother once heard.
Jay Silva from Northwood, New Hampshire. I'm going to answer her question as far as where do you get the music. Well, first of all, you can get it. Number one, some of my stuff I got off of iTunes. You can do that on the web if you want to get it there. As far as my alternative music, I was a DJ back in 1980, so I have a massive collection of music from working in a discotheque. So a lot of my alternative
Excellent.
music is pretty much disco, and it's a high energy music. But yes, you can get, if you go on iTunes or any other those websites. Sure, you pay 99 cents or so, or $1.29. They're not gonna give it to you for free. I can tell you that. Oh, that's legal.
Yeah, it's legal.
Oh, that's
You
all
paid
legal.
for it.
That's all legal. So.
Also, one of the things that you can do is you can get it from Amazon.com. A lot of it's the 99-cent solution. So you can buy it from Amazon or one of those. Walmart no longer does that.
Yeah, they shut down their
They
music
shut
source.
it down. Question in the back, sir.
My name is Mike Driscoll. I'm from Minnesota. If you have any used music stores that carry CDs and stuff like that, you can go through their library of music. You can find a lot of good music there.
All right, Ben, you've got a couple more, right?
Well,
that
I
you're
do,
gonna
but
play?
we're also looking at the time, and you need to get on.
Okay, all right. Moving on, I'm going to play a couple. One is a bluegrass piece that I have that I use. It's called Over the Rainbow, and it's a bluegrass piece. Yep, and I need the cable. Too late. Exactly like this. No, well, I heard him do the singing call, but this is This is off of an album. It's called Over the Rainbow. And the album of this is, hang on a second, let me get to it. Over the Rainbow is, the artist is Arthur Smith and Don Reno, and it comes off of an album called Pickin' on the Movies. PICKIN on the Movies. Very smooth. Bow to the partner and the corner two, and then heads square through. Go, both hands around to go. Somewhere over the rainbow, touch a quarter, I sing, scoot back. So it's a really nice piece of music. Let's look at another one that I use, at least that I've been picking up recently. Now, this is called Boom Boom Pow. And
gotta get that. Gotta get that. Gotta get that.
Bow to the partner, turn a bow to the corner two. Head couples up to the middle and back. Heads go right or left through. Turn the girl, pass through, clover leaf. Everybody do a double pass through, all the way through, and then track two. Okay. Now, the author of this one is, it's called Break Your Heart. No, I'm sorry, this is Boom Boom Boom. I apologize. And you know what? I don't have that information down for that. I apologize, guys. It's Black Eyed Peas. Thank you, Daryl. Alright, here's one called Break Your Heart. This one is by Teo Cruz, and it features Ludacris. Oh, okay. Here's another one called Evacuate the Dance. This is by Cascada. Evacuate the Dance, yeah. It's the radio version. You're gonna bow to the partner, corner two, head two, square two, four hands and around to go. You meet that corner, do a dosado. Everybody make an ocean wave, swing through and then. Alright. Okay, last one. I'm gonna do one that I just did just recently. It's called Gold by Jon Stewart. So we're gonna look at that. Here we go. Question. All right. Sure, no problem. And that's called Gold. Yes. It was called Gold. Jon Stewart.
Darren Galena from, where am I from? California. I apologize for coming in late. I just wanted to make a comment about some of the new music we were talking about, Black Eyed Peas and Adele and all of that. When you go on iTunes or how the other source of legal music that you buy your music from, just be aware that there are different mixes, and in a lot of cases you want to get like the dance mix because that's got a good solid beat, and dancers need to know where to put their foot down. So look for the dance mixes. Sometimes the radio edit's okay. If you have dancers that are sensitive to certain words, you may want to use the radio edit because some of this music that we use has naughty words in it. So, but sometimes you can just call right over them and people will miss it. But yeah, look for the dance mixes. That's all.
Or you can cut it out a lot of times. So, well, thank you guys all for coming to it. I don't know if Ben has a handout. I'm going to have a handout that they will have at the front desk. I'm going to go take it to them now so that they can have it available for you guys. So thank you guys for coming. I've got a list of a whole bunch of other music also. So cool. Thank you.